Hello there. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, The Aries 1999. Today on Class in Focus, we will be talking about the Barbarian. Barbarians are fierce warriors who fight by letting their rage guide them. They are part of the heavy hitter group. They make great frontline attackers who are able to take in the big hits. With a D12, they have the highest hit die of any class. Starting at level 1, they are able to enter a Rage, which gives them a bonus to attack damage, resistance to piercing, slashing, and bludgeoning damage, and advantage on strength checks. Their damage bonus goes up at higher levels, however they do not get any of their Rage benefits while wearing heavy armor. To compensate this, they get Unarmored Defense, which makes their AC equal to 10 plus their Constitution modifier plus their Dex modifier. Also, since the Rage puts so much of their attention on the battlefield, they are unable to concentrate on spells while raging. By level 2, they can attack recklessly, which is like the No Guard ability from Pokemon. It gives both you and whoever is attacking you advantage on the next attack. At higher levels, they get an extra attack and more powerful critical hits. They get an ability where if they drop to 0 hit points, they can make a Constitution saving throw to instead only drop to 1 HP. Eventually, when they make a strength check, the minimum is equal to their overall strength level. So if they were to make an athletics check to jump over a gap and they have a strength level of 18, that means that if the modified roll is less than 18, then they can just use that 18 with no modifiers. And while stats normally max out at 20, they can get their strength and constitution all the way up to 24. The Barbarian class specifications are called paths, and there are 2 of them. The path of the Totem Warrior and the path of the Berserker. The Berserker is all about fighting with sheer force, throwing caution to the wind, like their Frenzy ability that lets them have an extra attack on each turn, but ends up costing them a level of exhaustion. Berserkers are so overcome with their rage that while in that state they are unable to be charmed or frightened, and they can intimidate people with their sheer presence and can return fire when they're hit with a melee attack. The other path is Totem Warrior. These guys sort of harness the essence of various animals to get their abilities. At different levels they can choose an animal to obtain power from, and at each level, they can choose the same animal or go with a different one. Their choices are bear, wolf, and eagle, but it doesn't necessarily need to be those specific 3 animals. It could be ape instead of bear, or leopard instead of wolf, depending on what area the barbarian lives in and what's more appropriate for him. At level 3, they can choose the toughness of a bear, the feint of an eagle, or the force of a wolf. At level 6, it's the bear's might, the eagle's vision, or the wolf's hunting ability, and at level 14, the bear spirit helps you to protect your allies, the eagle spirit can let you fly, and the wolf spirit can help you knock over your foes. Totem warriors also get some spells that are used for working with animals, so Berserker is sheer force and Totem warrior is nature affinity. In terms of what race you should play, things like elves and halflings are just too much of lightweights to normally make a good barbarian. It's not impossible, but you're better off with the heavier ones like dragonborn, half-orc, or dwarf. The dwarvish toughness is good for taking in the hits, and the half-orc brutal critical is good for making the hits. And now it's time for a real-life origin with Aries, the part of the show where Larry comes out and sings a silly song. I mean, where we talk about the real-life origin. Barbaric is used to refer to someone who is savagely cruel, and the term barbarian has always been used in an insulting way against people who are viewed as uncivilized. It comes from the Greek term barbaros, which is how they would refer to people who didn't follow Greek culture. It was also used in a similar way by the Romans to refer to non-Romans, and it ended up being the barbarian Germanic tribes who would play a large part in the downfall of Rome. And what's interesting is that after the fall, Attila the Hun attacked the Eastern Roman Empire and was able to capture Constantinople, but he was stopped before he could also take over the Western Empire. So, in a way, a barbarian army almost reunited Rome.
Du lass den Zuzu! no magic, though.
Anyway, back to Dungeons and Dragons. When you're playing, remember that barbarians are aggressive. They are short-tempered and are quick to come to blows. They usually aren't too patient either. So while a wizard might be willing to hear out why someone stole from the party, a barbarian is more likely just to fight to try to get back what belongs to them. When it comes to dual classing, Monk works really well. It may seem weird to combine the aggressive class with the tranquil class, but it does work. The Monk martial arts in conjunction with the Barbarian Rage can pack a massive punch, quite literally. The Monk's abilities can also help you get into position to set up some big attacks, like how Barbarians and Monks both have features to increase speed, or use the Stunning Strike to halt a foe.
Falcon Punch!
Now, Fighter seems like it'd be the natural choice when it comes to dual classing with Barbarian, but the thing about it is there's already a lot of overlap. It isn't necessarily bad to go for Fighter though. They do have the second wind feature to be able to heal, and you will be able to take a fighting style, which is useful. The better way of doing it is if you were already playing Fighter, then Barbarian would be a good choice to take a level in. Now, Barbarians can still cast spells while raging, they just can't concentrate on them. So a good spellcasting class to go with them could be Sorcerer, particularly a wild magic sorcerer, because it fits in with sort of the natural aggressive chaos that is being a barbarian. Cleric and Rogue aren't bad, but they don't really have anything special about them that really blends well with Barbarian. Rogue can work, but the thing about it is, barbarians usually just aren't all that sneaky. If you are able to somehow land a sneak attack though, in conjunction with rage damage, then it would be a very powerful hit. It's just not something that you're going to be able to do very often. So I wouldn't really recommend it unless you have a way to help you sneak, like invisibility, or the boots of elven kind, which makes your walking silent. And then there's paladins. Frankly, this just isn't a very good class to go with Barbarian. Although they're both heavy hitters that use big weapons, paladins focus more on armor and using spells. The features of the two classes just compete with rather than complement each other. For example of barbarians in media, Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy would definitely be a barbarian. Like the scene in Guardians 1 when he calls Ronan to take him down single-handedly. That's very much the way a barbarian would do things. And he would probably be Path of the Berserker barbarian, just the way he fights all in, putting his faith in his strength and his weapons.
Ronan the Accuser! You are the one who transmitted the message?
You killed my wife. You killed my daughter!
Yamcha from Dragon Ball would probably be a Path of the Totem Warrior barbarian. I mean, after all, his signature move is the Wolf Fang Fist. He's a warrior trained in the wildlands, so it works for him. All in all, I feel like Barbarian is an underutilized class. They can do some cool stuff, and they are definitely worth a try. Anyway, this has been Class in Focus. Tell us what you think down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will return later with some more videos. Bye!